Hi guys, so we're here today with Dr. Imad Musavi. He is a licensed PE specializing in structural engineering. And we just have a few questions for you regarding foundations, foundation inspections, and some issues that we as homeowners notice, and we just want to get some pointers from you. So thank you for coming on.
Sure, sounds good.
I do have a few questions regarding foundation problems. What are some signs that we would notice if our foundation did have an issue in our home?
Right. So, I mean, obviously, there are different types of foundations, and the easiest immediate, symptom and sign that the foundation is underperforming or something going on is any sort of cracks or any sort of movement. Cracks usually could be seen on the flooring. They could be seen on the walls, especially in the corners of windows or doors, or even the wall itself. If you find some cracks, usually some diagonal cracks, sometimes what we call the spider cracks. Those cracks are usually the first signs that the foundation there's something going on. There's also sometimes the cracks that we see on the slab itself. So the foundation, if you look from the exterior, you may see cracks on the slab, footing of the walls, or sometimes if there's brick walls, we see cracks. Sometimes like a step, sometimes just a straight cracks that can be seen on the exterior wall. So those are usually the first signs that a typical homeowner would see if the foundation has some issues.
So are all cracks a sign of a foundation issue? Should we be worried and alert the media if we see any crack inside or outside of our home?
Yeah, so good question. So the answer is a little tricky. So first off, most of the cracks that people see are not considered structural, but there are symptoms, we call them cosmetic cracks. So cosmetic cracks by themselves are not structurally important for the integrity and safety of the building, but they are usually signs for some underlying problem with the foundation. So even though the cosmetic cracks are not directly structurally concerning, but because they indicate there's something going on, behind the scene, they are important. And the tricky part is that usually it's the structural engineer, so some experienced licensed engineer, some professional, who should decide if these cracks are actually concerning as a structural, integrity concern, or they're really just cosmetic and should be repaired locally. So I would say typically they're not immediately concerning. Sometimes there are actually structural cracks. If you see a crack on the slab itself, that is a structural crack, that we consider them a structural crack. So they're important. Another issue is that even though these cracks are not cosmetic, but the sooner a homeowner identifies the problem, typically it's the cheaper to fix the problem. So if someone sees those cracks and they don't address those cracks soon enough, then they could end up becoming a much bigger repair project, versus if they're being addressed, fast enough. And I think the only way to find out is for letting a structural engineer look at it.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell us some remedies and repair methods that structural engineers use for if you do spot structural issues?
Right. So, I want to do a quick, basically, clarification. Thanks for the question, Kimberly. So I want to just clarify. If you go to a doctor, they give you a prescription, then you go to a pharmacy and get the drug, right? So structural engineers give the prescription. They don't fix the problem. They give the blueprint, or they give the basically recommendations. And then the general contractors are the ones who actually do the work. It's like I said, you don't get the prescription from the pharmacy, you get it from a doctor, but the pharmacy gives the actual pills. And in construction industry, structural engineers give the instructions and the directions, and the contractors do the work. So structural engineers, it depends. It really depends. It's a lot of details. And I do try to always educate my customers about, their project when they're building their foundation, when they have to do an inspection and find issues with their respect. But really, it just every project is different. So, but what I could tell you is that there are times that we just take it easy and say, this is not as big of a deal. What you're seeing is some minor movements of the foundation, and we consider that as negligible at this point. So we just recommend another foundation structural inspection in 12 months. Sometimes it goes a little farther. We say that, okay, we have to consider some sort of local piers, below the foundation, putting some local piers. Sometimes it's a crawl space foundation and the piers are missing some footings. So the footing of the crawl space piers have to have some sort of a pad, sometimes it's a 16 by 16, a concrete pad. Sometimes it's another type of pad. So sometimes it really just needs a little bit of some local work. And sometimes it's a little more significant than that. Sometimes it's about some major, foundation stabilization, which means that they have to put piers pretty much different parts of the foundation. There are more advanced methods, including injecting some foams and some other material under the slabs. There are times that it's about the crawl space foundation has some rotten material that has to be, replaced, beams, girder beams, joists, and piers. And I've also seen foundation issues because of rebar corrosion. Concrete has usually metal rebars in there, and those metal rebars can be exposed to moisture and some air that penetrates into concrete through time, and when the foundation is aging, and that can cause cracks, and those cracks are usually the most complicated type of phenomena when we come to foundation repairs. That then we have to find ways to repair those foundations through some creative different creative ways.
So can you tell us where homeowners would start if they suspect foundation problems in their building, and a little bit about the process?
Absolutely. So let's just say you're a homeowner and you want to know if everything is okay. I would say start looking around, start looking for cracks, signs of movements. Usually it's, like I said, the first thing I look at is the corners of the windows in different rooms, interior, and then the corners of the walls. And then also on the exterior, you could look at the exterior wall, you could look at the footing of the exterior wall. If you find cracks, those are concerns. I have had cases where I would just ask the homeowner to, just try to keep up with watering the grass, around the house, and keep the soil saturated, so you don't have to do any repairs, but keep the soil stable, so it doesn't keep shrinking and expanding if your home, has a lot of clay, in the soil around the foundation. But if they have to actually do any work, I want to say if there's concern, then just ask for structural inspection. Structural inspection is the very, the right first step. If there is any building, and it's not just the homes, any residential or commercial building, that there are signs of movements, concerns about the foundation performance, then doing a foundation inspection by a structural engineer, that would be the first step. Then the outcome could be anywhere from just don't worry about it, it's all good, to where you actually have some movements, but it's limited. Do another inspection in 12 months, or start, making sure the watering the grass is happening consistently, so your foundation movements are limited and controlled, and it can be, more work. But the way it typically works is that when the structural engineer performs an inspection, it usually ends with a sign and sealed report. So it's signed and sealed, so it's a formal document, and it is a report that not just outlines some findings, but also has some recommendations. Those recommendations in the foundation inspection or structural inspection of the licensed engineer is the way, forward. So and it can sometimes be needing more engineering work, but it's often direct recommendation about what needs to be done, if any, and that's usually the right way. And sometimes if there is need for additional work, then that document serves as a first step to complete, you know, if you have to blueprints, there has to be permitting, there has to be engaging contractor. So those should follow after that report is done and is ready and provides the instructions about where to start.
Okay, awesome. So we just give you a call, you come out, assess our foundation, and let us know in your signed and sealed report what's going on with our foundation. If we need
Right,
to
yeah,
fix it.
that's the way to go. That's just how it works. And you know, we guys, we have engineers, local engineers in different markets right now operating. I feel great about. We probably have completed over 2,000 inspections, structural inspections, you know, and it issued, you know, every one of them has a signed and sealed report. So you have a lot of accumulated experience about how to help out with the homeowners and keep it, you know, pretty straightforward about what should be done, you know, in order to address their foundation concerns.
Wow, okay.
Great.
Well, it was super interesting as well to hear about watering the grass and how much of an effect that can have on your foundation. I know
Yeah.
here in Texas, we have a lot of clay in our soil, and I would have never thought, now I need to go home and water my grass because I feel like it just needs it now.
Since you have done different thousands of foundations across the states, is this helpful in any way to your clients?
Yeah. So as you know, we have engineers in different regions, you know, from South Florida, Central North Florida, all the way to California. You know, Central South Florida, California, and North California, also Texas, Michigan. You know, other states, Virginia, Maryland, DC. So we're doing inspection, Georgia, we're doing all these different states, right? So there are local engineers, New York, you know, Pennsylvania, we've done inspections in Minnesota. So the way this is helping us is we are local engineers. So these individual inspections are, of course, every inspection is like a data point. So we're accumulating all this data coming from different regions, from different markets. So we have the local presence, and so we know what's going on locally, but also we have that connection, that pool of data coming from all these other regions. So what happens is that eventually we are able to address individual client needs, not just based on the local practice, because sometimes there is a better solution that for a problem being used in some other area that is not yet common in the client's, you know, region. So we have that access, you know, because that exposure to multiple, you know, regions, and our structure of operation, which involves, you know, having someone local, but also some higher level manager who is overseeing, you know, inspections in several regions. That kind of provides the opportunity to bring in the knowledge and experience of, you know, outside that local area to that project, even though at the end of the day, the local team has a very, you know, key role in getting the report and the inspection done and putting together the best, you know, solution to the problem of individual customers.
That sounds great.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here and answering our questions. It was great speaking with you and getting all of that information. So you heard it from Dr. Musavi. Don't go to the pharmacy, go to the doctor, get your foundation checked. If you notice any issues, any cracking, it's better to be safe than sorry. Just get it checked out and he'll be able to help you out.